Cyberpunk has gone gold, so no more delays. We are getting the game on November 19th. Like, that is what these announcements basically mean nowadays. Because as you likely know, the developers are still hard at work 6 days per week to iron out as many bugs as possible. But yeah, it will be manufactured now, ready for us to play this November. We also had a recent Russian live stream with some interesting changes and upgrades that I want to go over. The map of the game has leaked and there's more to discuss. So a like on the video would really help the channel out. And let's go. You can win Cyberpunk in my October giveaway for a 2020 game of your choice. Just enter by clicking the link in the pinned comment. And be sure you are also a subscriber of the channel before you enter. Good luck. In my previous Cyberpunk video, we talked about some big improvements from 2018 to 2020. Well, seems like the Japanese footage from Tokyo Game Show was already a bit old, while it was still from this year. Because now we got Russian footage from a special live stream that looks even better. For one, the red lights are way more present now, and overall the lighting makes everything look way more realistic. I did see some people talk about the animation where Fee tells Jackie to sit down in the Japanese footage because it was kinda glitchy. Well, that is now completely fixed in this Russian footage, like, it looks very good now. We also touched on the new icons in front of the dialogue choices in that previous video. The Japanese footage had that for the first time, for as far as I know. But now in this Russian footage, it has been expanded upon even more. We have this hand icon in front of the choice to tell Jackie to sit down. And now we also see that hand icon above Jackie's head. Meaning that with this choice, you will interact with him. While the text bubbles indicate that your answer will be directed to one specific character instead of everyone in the room. We also see that in the updated meeting footage with Dexter DeJean, and there's another example of that as well. And here we also see a blue text bubble, likely indicating that the other choice you can select will be directed to her. In the Russian livestream, we now also learned that Cyberpunk will have more dialogue than The Witcher 3 with both DLCs, which is insane. And there will also be characters in the game that just speak their mother language, such as Japanese or Russian. So even if you play the game in Spanish, for example, or every other language, you will still hear characters talk in Russian or Japanese, according to Electric Blue Rogue on Reddit, who translated that part from the Russian stream. And during that stream, the voice actors were being interviewed, and the Russian Fee mentions that there are thousands of lines with ambient dialogue to bring Night City to life. And looking at the recent trailer, you can totally see why they did that, because the city, of course, looks super vibrant. And now we actually got a good look at the map of the game, thanks to the physical map that should be included in the boxed copies. We see the 6 districts properly highlighted, with Watson being the part where we start the game and where all the life paths come together to go do the heist for Dexter DeJean. The bottom is of course Pacifica, where we have to fight the animals, so the area we saw at E3 2019. And this was supposed to be a tourist attraction before they stopped building and now gangs have kind of taken over. Westbrook looks very interesting in this concept art, to say the least, like way more nature than we are used to, and I don't think we've seen like any footage of this area yet. It still has some very modern buildings. I love the sort of waterfall here, and this should be like from some of the elite people in Night City. Santo Domingo below that is one of the older districts and home of the 6th Street Gang we already saw in that recent gang trailer, so that already gives us a good idea of what to expect from this area. We see a smaller text indicating Japantown, so that's of course where we will encounter the Tiger Claws gangs, while the Valentinos are present in Haywood. It is actually where you start the game as a street kid. While with the corporate life path, you start, maybe as you already know, in the city center. We also see some red text here and there for special locations, and while they are all hard to read, we do see the sort of island on the left here called a spaceport. And thanks to this Night City art, we got a great visual representation of the map with the island that we see there. And also the solar panels that likely charge the whole city. Yeah, going back to the map, because the Badlands is not really like shown here. So the whole playable map is likely bigger than what we see here. And we got Frencher Styles on Reddit who actually made drawings of the extra parts of the map. We got the Wasteland, so like a specific district basically of the Badlands. And seems like the Nomad life path starts in South California, because that is where the border is. That was of course shown multiple times in footage already. Overall, of course, good to note is that the world of Cyberpunk is way more vertical than we see in other games, with buildings having multiple layers, so multiple floors. So even if it doesn't look that big on the surface, we should have a ton to explore. And maybe you heard the news that the main story is shorter thanks to feedback that the developers got on The Witcher 3. Like, the developers saw that people just did not finish the game because it was too long. So the main story should take less hours to complete, but there's likely way more side content in this game and also ways that stories could play out thanks to the choices we have. But CD Projekt Red already said, and this is very interesting, that they found a really cool way to let players keep playing after the main quest is concluded, as JorRaptor recently found on Reddit. So very curious to hear what that is. Maybe it's similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, like no spoilers of course, but there was a huge plot twist in that game and that made the open world very interesting. So maybe they are doing something like that. And we of course also know that there will be a ton of free DLC after the launch of the game that will likely add some cool things for us to do after we already finished the main story. You can really feel that the marketing is ramping up, and I cannot wait for that extra Night City wire before the release, likely at the end of this month or early November. Maybe you already saw the new Keanu Reeves ads, mostly with footage that we already know about, although they did show one small piece of new vehicle gameplay that looked pretty cool. And of course, seeing Keanu Reeves here and there pop up, I totally approve that. And this, by the way, seems to be the boot up screen for the game, as shared by Lucas, a Q&A lead on the game, with a ton of neon going on. Looks pretty nice. Maybe it will still change. And we also there see the Johnny Silverhand plushie that is actually showing up in multiple shots today, celebrating the gold announcement. Also in this picture with the gold master discs. We see PS4 because that's of course the thing. We will at launch only have the current gen version of the game. But as the recent trailers noted, the game also plays great on Xbox Series X and PS5, but without like bells and whistles that you come to expect from a next-gen version, although installing the game on the SSD should totally impact the load times. Subscribe for way more on Cyberpunk 2077 if you haven't already. I will keep you up to date on all the news and when new gameplay gets released. A like on the video would really help the channel out, and totally check out my previous video going over the Tokyo Game Show footage and talking about way more. For now, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.